Hello and welcome. I'd like to introduce you to the Grief Tending podcast series, which is a partnership between Hummingbird House Children's Hospice and Palliative Care Queensland. This series was created to offer support to anyone who is or will be in some kind of caregiving role to someone who is living with or experiencing grief. So this might be grief that has arrived as a result of a recent illness or a diagnosis. It might be as part of someone's experience of living with palliative care right across the lifespan, children, young adults, or an older person. Or it might be as a result of someone who has died some time ago and you are supporting someone who's living on in bereavement through months and years after a death. The series has two streams aimed at community members, family, friends, neighbours, people who are supporting people in everyday life, and then a professional stream which is tailored a little bit more towards people working in a paid or professional context in healthcare. But by all means, there are things in both streams that both groups of people may be interested in. One thing to note, if you are very recently bereaved, someone very close to you has died, you're also very welcome here. It may be that you find more immediately helpful resources either elsewhere on Palliative Care Queensland's website or elsewhere online or in your community. The primary intention with this series was to try and increase the level of grief literacy within the community around you so that people who might support you in your experience of grief feel a little bit more skilled and have a little bit more insight and understanding and hopefully wisdom in how they approach doing that. So the name of this series comes from the work of one of our guests, Francis Weller, who speaks about grief tending as a way of being in relationship with a deeply human experience. So we were really seeking to normalize the experience of grief as a natural part of life and a natural response to losing something that we love. Now, that might be in the sense of the literal death of somebody, but it also might be loss of expectation, loss of capacity, loss of ways of being in the world. So grief tending is about recognizing that we will experience many different types of losses in our lives, and that it is important to tend to acknowledge and to support each other through those times. So the word grief comes to us in English from the same word, the same root word that we get terms like gravity or gravitas, and it has to do with a sense of heaviness or weight. And to tend to something means to lean into or stretch towards it. So this series is seeking to move towards some of those experiences in life that carry the most weight to them. And so it's our hope that we may all become more equipped and more skilled in supporting people in our community, whoever we are and whatever our role, so that we can collectively become more grief literate and more grief informed. We know that what most grieving people need most of the time is not specialist mental health or clinical psychology. Those things may well have a role and are helpful at various times in life. But for the majority of grieving people, the majority of the time, what they need is a grief-informed and a grief-literate community around them who understands what it is to live with grief, not as something to get over, move on from, or be treated as some kind of illness, but as a deeply human experience which requires wisdom and care and compassion. So thank you for however it is that you came to land here to be listening to this introduction. I hope that you find this series useful and supportive. There's a real range of voices and themes and perspectives. We have tried to ensure that we've spoken to different areas across the lifespan and different perspectives, both professional and non-professional. This is not intended to, by any means, be claiming that we've explored every aspect of grief, but really seeking to centralize this this idea of grief as a deeply human experience, to normalise that experience and to cultivate our collective capacities to be alongside grief in supportive ways.